Johnson, but I want to wait till there's a more complete than my guesswork of Johnson and my hunches. But this part is something I've been really looking forward to doing. Where is the body of Bohemia Sharp? This man is really something in our local histories. He gets the nickname of Bohemia because he builds the first wagon road up to the Bohemian mines themselves. I think he completed it around 1870. Does anybody know better? And he was supposed to have gotten paid $1,500 for it. He had a handshake agreement, and never go with the handshake agreement. The judge he had the agreement with died. Bohemia Sharp never got paid, and it increased his bitterness in his old age. But this man is incredible. Opal Whiting wanted to write a story about it called The Impossible Man. Now back in her day, when we called that person's impossible to deal with, that meant that they're just really, really, really hard to deal with. Bohemia Sharp was, by all accounts, hard to deal with. But listen to me. This was not, and one of the interesting things about this talk is I want to break up the stereotypes that miners are uneducated and rough and tough and like that. Each man in my presentation is highly educated. Two of them have college degrees. Bohemia Sharp had a college degree from college in Illinois in civil engineering. And his family was wealthy. They invented the Sharp's rifle. Now, Bohemia Sharp grew up a very privileged son of wealthy people. And that may have had an impact on him. I grew up in a family whose money was going down as I grew up. But I was around a lot of people, and when you grow up in a rich family, you feel somewhat entitled and privileged. And that kind of, at least at the start of his story, because he spends, I think it's 3 years or so drilling with the Missouri militia, and then, what do you know, the Civil War breaks out. They disband the militia because they're going to get pulled into either Union or Confederate. But Bohemia Sharp does not want to fight in the Civil War. He has been drilling in uniform for several years, but he doesn't want to fight there. So he takes the money he has and he leaves Missouri before the draft starts or the pressure to join one side or the other really gets big. Now, interestingly enough, where did he go? He went first, he was going to Peru, a little town on the coast of Peru. And then when he gets to the Isthmus of Panama, he encounters some people who are going to Oregon. And so he joins up with them. And that's how Bohemia Sharp gets coming up here instead of being something of a hermit legend in Peru. He was maybe the first postmaster of Cottage. It was certainly very early. And but as soon as the gold was discovered, that's when he wanted to get in on it. Now he wore, in his later years, he became a really colorful character. He wore mostly long johns, and if you're men, the opening, the fly opening on the front of the long johns was he tore the back of them, so he turned the front of his long johns around. And I found story after story of the stagecoach going up to Bohemia, stopping by his house, so they became something of a tourist attraction and maybe embarrassment too. He was a hermit in his cabin, and he just liked being alone. I've got a great story in here later about some of the things he does when he's alone. But at age 80, he was sent to the county poor farm. That used to be on Game Farm Road up in Springfield. And then he was committed in 1917 to Oregon State Hospital. He only survived there 2 months. This hermit was put into a building with 1,500 pretty crazy people. And but the real question is, what happened to his body afterwards? That's the real question. This part. So here's a picture, courtesy of Ivan Hoyer, who I've got his book up here. And if you really